So I will be reading this story, and then later after the book I will show you how we are going to make our kite craft, because for a kite to work you have to have wind. So we are going to be learning what makes the wind, and it's written by Lawrence Santry, and it is illustrated by Bert Dodson. And here's the front of the page so you can see the pictures. And Pepper's going to be here enjoying our story too. If you can see her. Pepper, can you say hi? Pepper, say hi. She loves when I read to her. So if you want to practice reading to your pet at home or a stuffed animal, that's awesome to work with too. They're always great listeners. All right, what makes the wind? Nobody can see the wind, but everybody can see what it does. Wind turns an umbrella inside out. In autumn, it makes brown leaves skip across the ground. Wind moves sailboats over a lake. It makes a field of tall grass dance and ripple. It cools your hot face on a sunny day. There is wind all the time, day and night. Sometimes it is strong enough to knock down houses and trees. Sometimes it is so soft you cannot feel it. When we cannot feel the wind, the air is calm, but the wind is always blowing, even on the calmest day. Heat and cold make the wind blow. Here is how it happens. Hot air is light. Because it is light, hot air rises. You can see hot air rising when smoke comes out of a chimney. Cold air is heavier than hot air. Because cold air is heavy, it sinks. So hot air rises and cold air sinks. If you have ever slept in a bunk beds, you may have already learned that the air is always warmer in the top bunk. Now you know why. It is because warm air rises and cool air sinks. What happens outdoors when the air gets warm and rises? As the warm air moves up, it leaves an empty space. But that space does not stay empty for long. As soon as the warm air leaves, cold air moves into its place. So it says in this picture, cold air as the warm air moves up, cold air moves to that empty space. Cold air and hot air are always changing places. These changes make the wind blow. You can see how this happens when you go to the beach. At the edge of the water, you will feel a cool breeze. The sun is bright over the sea and the beach. The sand gets hot from the sun. The air over the beach gets hot too. It begins to rise, but even in the bright sun, the water stays cool. The air over the water is also cool. The cool air does not rise. When the warm beach air rises, it leaves an empty space. The cool air over the sea rushes into the space left by the warm beach air. The rush of the cool air is the sea breeze you feel. So when the warm air, because the sun's on you and the warm air goes up and it starts to rise, then the cold air by the water starts to come and it makes you cool off. All the winds in the world are made by the warm air rising and the cool air falling. When the weather reporters talk about cold fronts and warm fronts, they are really talking about large amounts of cold air and warm air. A large amount of air is called a mass. A front is where two masses of air meet. When a cold mass and a warm mass meet, it's like a battle. This battle causes all kinds of wind and weather. And there's where it meets, where two fronts are meeting and it's creating a battle of weather. In the winter, the cold air mass usually wins the battle. Then we have freezing winds and snowstorms. The wind makes the snowflakes fly and whirl. It piles fallen snow into high drifts. Winter's worst storms are blizzards. A snowstorm is called a blizzard. When the temperature is very low and the winds are blowing at least 32 miles or 51 kilometers an hour. That's pretty fast. In the summer, the warm air mass usually wins the battle. Then we have warm winds and rain showers. Summer's worst storms are hurricanes and typhoons. These rainstorms with the winds that blow at the speed of 75 miles or 120 kilometers an hour or more. That's really fast. That's a lot faster than the snowstorm. When clouds drift lazily in the sky, the winds pushing them are slow and gentle. This means there will not be much change in the weather. Anytime the winds are fast and strong, the clouds race across the sky. These strong winds are the front of an air mass, and that means a storm is coming. Winds bring us many good things. We need the wind to bring the rain that waters our gardens. Trees and other plants need the wind to spread their seeds. So when wind hits some type of trees, their seeds go in the air, and then that plants more seeds. Windmills cannot turn without the wind. Birds would have to fly much harder if they did not have wind currents to carry them along. Winds have names that tell us where they come from. A west wind comes from the west. A south wind comes from the south. Winds also have names that tell us how fast they move. A gentle breeze moves at a speed of 8 to 12 miles or 13 to 19 kilometers an hour. It keeps a flag from drooping against the flagpole. So a gentle breeze means that there is still some wind if it keeps a flag moving on a flagpole. A strong breeze moves at a speed of 25 to 31 miles or 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. It makes tree branches sway. A fresh gale moves at a speed of 39 to 46 miles or 62 to 74 kilometers an hour. It makes trees sway and sends trash cans rolling down the street. So that's pretty powerful. The wind must move at a speed of 55 miles or 88 kilometers an hour to be called a whole gale. When the wind blows that strongly, it can tear shingles off a roof. So that could tear your roof, the pieces off your roof off. Crazy. That's pretty strong. Some winds have special names. One of these is a southerly wind that blows in the hot, dry desert. This hot wind causes dust storms and sandstorms. It is called a sirocco or a sirocco. That's a desert storm. This is another very strong wind called a tornado. A tornado is sometimes called a twister because it whirls around and around. It looks like a giant ice cream cone that reaches from the sky to the ground. A twister can whirl as fast as 500 miles or 800 kilometers an hour. Ooh, tongue twister. A tornado begins when a large mass of cold air blows over a mass of warm air. The warm air wants to go up and the cold air wants to go down. The two masses press very hard. See how they're pressing together? They press very hard against each other. At last, the hot air finds a weak spot in the cold air, and the hot air forces through and goes shooting up. A powerful wind is born, the terrible tornado. As it whirls, the tornado can tear up trees and houses and cars. And so this is after a tornado. When a tornado happens over a large body of water, it is called a waterspout. The whirling wind picks up a lot of water until it looks like a tube made of water. More than once, waterspouts have lifted small fish into the clouds. Later, the fish came raining down. Oh no! See, look in this picture, here's the fish going up. And what's really cool is my dad used to be a pilot, and when he flew over the ocean, he used to see these all the time. He'd just see waterspouts going up, and they had to go flying around them. There are places where wind blows all the time. In some countries, it is always windy along the ocean coastlines. The steady wind makes the trunks of trees near the water grow bent and crooked. It takes a few years for wind to make a tree grow crooked, but it takes many and many and many for wind to wear away rocks. This wearing away of soil and rocks is called erosion. The famous painted desert of Arizona was made by erosion. It took thousands of years of wind and storms to form the desert. The wind does not wear away rocks by itself. It blows water or sands against them until they look like carved animals, needles, and all kinds of beautiful and strange shapes. Winds are always at work. They change the face of they change the face of the earth. A strong wind can take the sand dune you sat on yesterday and move it to the other end of the beach today. Has anybody ever noticed that the beach looks different the next day you go to it? Happens all the time because of the wind. The wind brings us sunny days by blowing away the clouds. It brings other clouds filled with rain or snow. It cools us, warms us, and sings to us as it speeds through the trees. Our world would be a very different place if we did not have the wind. And that is the end. So, as I read the story, now we're going to make our kite craft. And we're making a kite craft because a kite flies by, you have a string holding it and it catches the wind so it can go higher and higher, and the more string you let out, the higher your kite goes. And so everybody got a sheet of paper with a traced kite on it, and yours is going to be a different color than mine. I try to pick colors for everybody. Somebody might even have this color. And so the first step we got to do is we have to cut out our outlined kite. So cut very nice down the line. I wish I had that speed up button like our friend who does the directed drawings. That'd be cool. I'm not too technical savvy to do that. But everybody needs to be cutting down the black line for your kite. And I probably should have went over materials before we cut. So you need your kite piece of paper, you need some scissors, you need a glue stick, and either crayons or markers, and also the crimp paper that goes with your kite. Miss Emma forgot to do that first, but I already cut, so I'll go over the parts again. You need your kite piece of paper that was traced, and then you're going to need a pair of scissors, and I sent all this stuff. So you have a set of scissors, you have some glue, you have some markers, or you have some crayons. And I even brought my crayons from school. So the first step is I need everybody to cut on the black line your kite out. Miss Emma already did that. And then our next step is you're gonna pick one of the streamers you like or the crimp paper. And you are going to take your kite, and wherever you see black, you're gonna make that the back side. But first, you're gonna put some glue in the bottom corner. So you're gonna figure out which part goes down farther. See how this one's a little bit shorter at the top? This one goes down farther. So I'm gonna put a little bit of glue down at that bottom corner, at that point, just like this. And see how I have the marker on the back? Because that's the back. Then I'm gonna take my crimp paper, the one I like for the long tail, and I'm gonna glue it to the the back of my kite. So it'll look like this. And there it is. And then I'm gonna tear little pieces off of my crimped paper, and I'm gonna tie different little bows. I'm gonna pull little pieces off and rip little pieces. See, I just ripped a short little strip from my long strip of the next color of crimp paper I have. And I'm tying it. It's kind of hard to video myself, I'm sorry. I'll show you after I finish tying it. But be very gentle when you tie it. And see, I made little bows. And if you pull too tight, let me see if I can hold it and show you. If you hold too tight, it can rip the paper. So be very careful. And you can do a bunch of bows. And if you don't like that look, you can also just tear it and glue little pieces to it. So it makes it like it looks like a bow. And then the next thing we're gonna do is, I know when I taught y'all the K rule, I dissected the kite into I did 4 lines. I did 1 across the middle and then 1 across these points from this point to this point. So I took a line from this point to this point, and then I did a line from this point to this point. And so I'm gonna do that real quick. Let me find my black marker or crayon. So I'm gonna go down a line from the top point to the bottom point, and then go to the middle points and go middle point to the other middle point. And so I drew my lines across the top and across the middle. And then now comes the fun part. You can decorate it. You can cut little pieces. If you have buttons, you can glue buttons to it. I didn't have many buttons. I should have sent some to y'all. I totally forgot. So you can either glue buttons to it. If you want to glue some of your rainbow counter beads to it, you can do that, Sam and Joe. You can find things on magazines to glue to your kite. Or you can just do fun pictures. Like I think I want a heart on my kite. So I'm gonna find a purple. I think purple would go. So I'm gonna do a heart on one. Maybe I'll do a kitty cat in the other one. So I'm gonna draw a kitty cat in my other paint. I'm gonna make a blue kitty cat. Just be creative with it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. As long as we have fun little kites. See, and so I'm decorating it. You can put your name on the front. Let's see. See, in this paint I did missing, Mom. Just be creative and have fun making your kites. I hope y'all enjoyed my story, and I hope y'all enjoy making your kites at home. Have fun with it. Bye.